Hello and welcome, dearest. I'm Grandma Mimsy, and I noticed a post asking questions to see more artwork because this month's box was not necessarily their style, not something that they would have chosen, I guess, for themselves. So I did do my own art, and I believed I showed in previous videos some of the designs, a few of the designs that I had created. And after seeing this post, I then went back and did some more artwork to better better showcase some ideas that you could potentially do with this mix and match. So let me grab a card here that I didn't get beforehand. And these are the two shades, which is the, oh, focus. These are the two shades that is the, it came in the box. So it is the Sunset Glow using the Seafoam. I guess we'll pull those back out real quick. These are the two polishes that came in the July 2025 Maniology subscription box. And I don't have my cards for the information, but it'll be on the thumbnail with all the information in the description explaining what this box is for. So here is, again, at a different angle, so you can see that is the shades over themselves with the Sunset Glow being on the base. And I believe that is 2 or 3 coats because it is a very sheer color that's buildable on that. And I did take my artwork off. I had created some Halloween ideas, and then see, I end up getting all messed up with. So here's an option. The image of this, I turned it the other way because, to be honest, to do the whole image is a bit too much to hold on some people's nails because they might have, like me, not a whole lot of real estate that you could put the entire, oops, trying to get this so it doesn't glare. I'm so sorry. Maybe I can move it this way. So here's the whole image, and I applied a different flower because having this image all the way around would just be too much for some people's nails. This one, I like the design, and I thought I did it really cute. I don't know if you can see it. I have to clear it off, but it's kind of a pattern. And I filled it in, did some colors and some shading on it, and I used the aqua topper, and I was just a little too impatient and it distorted. So timing does matter, but you can fill this in. I don't know if that's clear enough, but you can fill it in with the flowers, and before everything started, it looked really cute. So patience. And then the previous flower that I did, I flipped it the other way, filled it in. I did a lot of reverse stamping on this one. A lot of options that you can do. This one here with the different flowers, I did over multiple shades, in multiple shades. I even added so you can take the different strands of the flowers, and again, I was too impatient, and a lot of these didn't sit well. So there's this one that you can just do a basic fill in the flowers. Or the same thing with this one. It was really cute till I was too impatient and applied the aqua topper, and it smeared and distorted. But actually, distorted, it's kind of cute. Because some of it did, and some of it didn't. So this one you can use, and the thing is, this one does have a lot of leaves and palm. You can deconstruct this. So take apart, do the stamp that you want to do, use a little less polish over the entire image. Just do a small amount in a corner where you want, doggone it, do a small amount where, say, for example, you wanted to do the flower, you wanted to do more flowers, you could take off the leaves part. So just put your polish around this part when you scrape. So you're just getting this section. You don't have to pull off so much because you won't need the whole stamp. And just pull that part out. You can pull all the different fronds that you wanted and have those be decals or stickers where you pick up the stamp and then you allow it to dry for under a minute, half a minute. And then you're going to want to use your smudge free. And use a pretty good amount of that so that you, when you are going over, you're kind of doing what they call flooding. So you're putting enough over it so you're not dragging the image, you're just kind of letting it self-level out. It will do that after a minute and allow that to dry. So you will need a few extra stampers on hand. So you're going to go and pull off your decals or set up your decals. And then pick a flower that you wanted. The cute thing would be you could take these little ones, a whole bunch of these little ones, and the different leaves that you wanted, and create. I spent enough time doing the reverse stamping. But to show you an example, I've been sitting way too long, and so at this point, but you could go through, like I said, you could pull out the guitar and do more of the leaves all the way around of the different leaves that you like and put in the accents of different colors because you got enough of those. You could really go to town creating a lot of, I don't know, did I show that one? Yeah, I did. And the other problem is that when you start to do the layers, which is the fun part, but as you're adding more layers, you're re-wetting or reconstituting the dried part underneath. So doing the reverse stamping where you're using a lot of layers and a lot of different images especially if you're creating a fairly thick coating, because if you want to do a reverse stamping, you're going to, as I've started to say, you're going to take the image and lay it down, the initial outline of the image, and then take some of the smudge free and go over that. And then when you're done with that and you allow that to completely dry, I would give it a good minute or two to allow the smudge free. Depending on how thick you make that coating, you could actually make it longer, because there was a couple of times that I was working on some images and then I went to the next one and it still did not have enough time to dry. So fill that out, and then you could give it up to 5 minutes if you really wanted to, and then take your other polishes in the shades that you want. So for the sake of like this one, you're gonna, after this had dried and you still have it on the stamper on the flip side, you're gonna fill in the different parts, because I did the little inside in the yellow. A couple of them I did the orange and other things, and like I said, it was originally kind of cute. And same thing with this one. I did multiple parts where I just took the flower and just kind of built them in to create the image that I was looking for. I just isolated the parts of the flower. Whoops. Yes, be careful, because, you know, I'm a klutz. There are some of us that we freely admit that we knock things over. This one I originally did where I was going to fill it in, and did it as a reverse, and I didn't like how it came out, so I redid it, and I basically, oddly enough, I painted this in 4 quadrants. So I painted the base shade on this one. I painted the white just in this corner, the pink in this corner, the blue in this corner, and then, or the, I don't know what color to call that. It was lemon zest. Yeah. So I did this one in this corner. And I want to say this came from the May box with the, trying to remember the image. They weren't the strawberries. Maybe they were the strawberries. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure it was the May of 2025. So, and then I painted the blue. So basically it was 4 colors. And then I took the stamping color and just stamped the image over that. So it came out kind of abstract. You could get really wild with this. Part of the images you go, I don't think this is something that is my style or something that I think I'm interested in. I know I missed one. But what your style is and what you're interested in, look at some of the images independently and not as an entire stamp. This one is painted black, and then I used retrograde and picked up the whole image and have retrograde in the background. And then I used frozen and picked up different elements and went over the top. So you kind of get the lightning strike and the seafoam in the night sky. But the idea is that, excuse me, I need to drink something. Vegas is dry. and dusty, and I don't mean to cough in your ear. I don't mean to cough in your ear, but drink your H2O. It's important. It's summertime. Even in the wintertime you need it, but more so importantly. But pull apart the pieces that you think might appeal to you. So, and there are words, as I said, or is it like this one? This one I did not do in one sitting. It's the whole stamp. is this one, but this whole stamp will not fit. The image is too big. So basically I started with this one and I did the reverse stamping in the colors, and I just did this part right here. Oh, that glare, I'm so sorry. So I just did the bottom part here. It's just going to get me whichever way I go. So I did the bottom part and I stamped this after I reversed and did all the images and filled this in as best I could. And then I went to do the top part here, and I filled and reverse stamped that part in, that I was able to get the top part lowered down because the two parts. And then and I included this part on this side, but not on this side, because I didn't think there'd be enough room. And then I went back and did the Aloha stamp. I did the middle part where it says the Aloha, I did that third. So I did deconstruct this, even though it looks like the entire stamp, even though it looks like the entire image, I made it smaller. And I don't have the one that shrinks and makes things bigger or smaller. I just did that by deconstructing it, pulling apart the pieces that I wanted to use, and then applying them where I wanted to. And so, like I said, there's all the different images. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do this as a Hawaiian theme. You could do this as a desert theme. There's a lot of images in here that you could just pick any one of these out and do them independently. If you wanted to, you could even do, as a French, do this part in a shade. So you're going to take a very light shade. So we're going to work with desert colors being a tan and a very dusty rose, say, for example, ballet flats. B231. So ballet flats can be your base shade, and then you could do marshmallow and do this part, and just do the strong parts at the tip of your nail right here. Just do 2 lines. And then you could come in with frozen and do the bamboo. And then you could come over and do droplet, because you're going to see droplet is a blue, but it's a very pale blue, and it'll have the pinky purple accents that it picks up. Or you could do apple crisp, and I want to say this one is tutu melee. So you could pick any one of those colors and go over the bamboo, and you'll get a completely different experience. And you could do it in a skittle fashion where your base color on each nail is different. So you've got 5 different shades. And then the lines, you could just do these parts, or the plaid, or the bamboo parts. Pick something that appeals to you. If you just wanted to go through and do just the palm trees, you could do pieces of this where you have the sun, or just a flower, or the little tiki heads. or the pineapple. You've got the waves. You've got so many different things. There's a sailboat in that one image. You could pick apart the teeniest piece and do that at the tip or do that at the top and add a rhinestone or some sort of accent, glitter. Whatever it is you think your style might be, pick out individual pieces and just do it very minimalistically. I hope that helps. I hope this gives you some inspiration and ideas to jumpstart your imagination, because there's that phrase, to think outside the box. You were taught incorrectly as a kid. There is no box. That you were told at one point, whether you were very little, that you had to put away your imaginary friends and now you have to be a big girl or a big boy and go to school, or when you were a young teenager, adult, and now it's time to be responsible. And all of that took away your imagination and took away your freedom to create. So anytime you need a solution and you have to think outside the box, it's because there were rules and limitations and things you were told, these are the only things you can do. That's not true. I'm sorry, they fibbed. Thinking outside of the box just means that you take off the limitations of what that box is. There is no limitations other than the ones you impose on yourself, that you have mentally or emotionally been told that's all that you can do. There's always a workaround. And I know there's a lot of people who, I've seen various programs that were created to help others because they're not able to hold the images or to think about things, so that there's programs you can create to help you with the visualization of things. But you can hold these images in your mind just by thinking about them and creating the movie in your own mind by looking at these images and letting them just kind of float around and see which ones appeal to you, and then play with it. You could, like I said, you could make decals and pick up the image, put down a layer of smudge free, allow that to dry. You can either fill it in or don't fill it in, but cut it apart. Once it's done and it's solid, you can pick it up and trim it and then lay it down. Lay it down like a puzzle. Lay down the little puzzle pieces on your silicone mat or on something that, on another stamper where you can put it in the order that you think you want it to go. And then use some of the sticky base and apply those with tweezers in the pieces to create the image of the picture that you want. Create the picture you like. Create the picture you would enjoy. And use this time for self-care to be your hobby, your where you can unpack and de-stress. And you can allow all the fun to come out. This is painting with coloring with crayons, but with paint. Let this be your joy for the week or the day, whatever you choose. Because you get to choose. That's the fun part. You get to choose what makes you excited and happy and the imagery that you see on your nail. Create comic books. Like I said, this one didn't turn out the way I did, so I tried something different. And I think it came out a lot better than what I originally wanted it to be. And I recreated this image. I just made it smaller because I could. If you wanted to make it bigger, you could do the same thing. If your nails are longer, again, you're going to take the image apart, put the bottom part where the bottom part goes, put the top part where the top part goes, fill in the middle part where the middle part goes, and then add in other pieces that you like. the sky's the limit. And even then, the expanse of your imagination. You can bring in other plates, mix or match. Have fun. It's your artwork. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Bye.